The country's top bank regulators testified before Congress Tuesday about the downfall of Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank and why Americans shouldn't panic about their finances. Regulators largely blamed the bank's failures on poor management, but Senate lawmakers also pointed to a lack of oversight and accountability.
Right now, none of the executives who ran these banks into the ground are barred from taking other banking jobs. None have had their compensation clawed back. None have paid any fines. Some executives have decamped to Hawaii.
The warning signs should have been flashing red, and SVB should have stood out as what it was. Absolutely a problem child.
Let's bring in CBS News congressional correspondent Scott MacFarlane. Scott, were lawmakers more critical of the banks themselves or the regulators, or did everybody get a dose of their anger?
Everybody got a hearty dose of anger, but yeah, the bank management got near, if not total, universal criticism for running this car off the road. This Silicon Valley Bank, best as we can tell from today's hearing, is like a bizarro world Goldilocks, where it's in the middle, but in a bad way. It's big enough, and was big enough, to cause a huge risk of contagion and a risk to the U.S. economy, but it was small enough where it was able to avoid some of the stiffer regulations and stiffer oversight. It was able, because of its size, to do more provocative things with its investors' money, to have a smaller pool of investors, each of whom has invested more capital. That's risky and lends itself to a possible bank run. So SVB was kind of in this middle ground, which the U.S. Senate recognized today and acknowledged aloud today, John, needs to be dealt with, either with stiffer regulations or better work by the regulators, who Republicans say were asleep at the switch. Montana Democrat John Tester was among the Democrats, also offering some fierce criticism.
I am not a banker. I ain't even close to being a banker. You did not have to be an accountant to figure out what the hell was going on here. As you do your look back into what transpired, it better be fixed. If it's the regulator's fault, it better be fixed.
And John, there is a political reality here. Every person in Washington with a leadership role has the risk of taking some heat for this, because Washington moved forcefully and quickly to help rescue these banks in a way that many Americans wish Washington would move to help them in their time of need. So, yeah, there was a dose of criticism for everyone, from politicians worried about the optics here.
And our polling showed that people think that basically when the banks are in trouble, the government only cares about the wealthy investors and not the regular folks. Let me ask you a question, Scott, about anybody talk about, or did any of the regulators talk about what they missed in terms of what their job is supposed to be in looking at these banks?
Yeah, the regulators had made clear they're doing a review. The FDIC, which of course helps govern the banks, is doing a review of what went wrong. But then you get the criticism that's a fox and hen house type dynamic. If your regulators are doing the review, maybe they don't see their own flaws and their own mistakes. So they acknowledge that a review is necessary to see where regulators could have done better or could have moved more nimbly to prevent this. But that said, John, I got to tell you, there are a number of Democrats who joined all Republicans to vote to deregulate in 2018. Many of them were on this panel today. Many of them are up for re-election next year in tough states.
So what does that mean then for the prospect of any either new regulations or tweaking existing regulations from a congressional legislative point of view?
Yeah, the real morbid reality here, John, is that if the crisis continues, if another bank were to fail, if this crisis were to resurface in a prominent way, that would increase the odds of new legislation or new regulation. If this too has passed, that might minimize the prospects of a gridlock Congress passing something on an issue as dicey as banking in America. But the need was underscored when they detailed today just how much damage this one bank's failure caused.
All right, Scott MacFarlane in Washington. Thank you so much, Scott.